Hey there, curious minds. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into someone who's always making headlines, but maybe from a slightly different angle this time.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. And the big question we're tackling, based on the material we've looked at, is this. Could Elon Musk actually be, thinking about starting his own political party? We're going to unpack the possibilities, the huge challenges, all based on the sources provided.
It's really interesting, actually. What jumps out from the analysis is this definite shift. For so long, it was Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, Starlink, um, Twitter becoming X, the tech stuff. But now, the conversation, as the research points out, it's really become much more political. You see his critiques of government, his posts on X. It's constant.
Okay, yeah, so let's unpack that. Why would someone like Musk, who's already, reshaping whole industries, even consider jumping into politics formally?
Yeah.
The sources we have point to some pretty compelling reasons. Well, one big one that comes up again and again is his ideology. It's genuinely independent. He really doesn't slot neatly into, the standard Democrat or Republican framework. Not at all. The materials suggest it's less about party labels and more perhaps a feeling that the current systems are just too slow for the kind of future he envisions,
Yeah.
like an engineer looking at a problem.
And then there's the power. Right. Not just the money, which is obviously enormous,
Yeah.
but the sources really highlight his control of X, that platform.
Oh,
It
definitely.
lets him completely sidestep traditional media. He
Yeah.
basically owns this global megaphone.
Yeah, it's like a direct line to hundreds of millions. That's a level of influence we haven't really seen analyzed in quite this way before. Huge leverage.
So what's he pushing with that leverage? What are the key agenda points?
Well, the research points to a few core themes, often described as sort of techno-libertarian ideas. His whole stance on free speech, particularly on X, is central. It seems tied to his vision of, like, open discourse driving innovation. And his calls for AI regulation, it's framed less as government control and more about making sure humanity stays in charge of its own tech. These aren't just casual opinions. They seem like really core tenets for him.
Okay, but, and this is where it gets really interesting, just because you have influence doesn't mean you can just snap your fingers and have a political party, right?
Yeah.
The material suggests it's much harder than it looks.
Exactly. That's a major point in the sources. Politics needs more than just Twitter trends or a big following. It demands real grassroots organization, boots on the ground. And that's maybe not a natural fit for Musk's usual top-down, fast-moving style. You need credible leaders, a network, a coherent vision that connects with everyday people, not just grand ideas.
That's a totally different skill set from, building rockets or running a social media company.
Absolutely. Political movements tend to build from the bottom up.
It makes you wonder, one source actually paints this picture. Like, imagine 2032. You've got Musk, the ultimate technocrat, right? Believes problems are solved with engineering, data, facing off against, more traditional politicians. What would that even feel like for voters?
And that brings up a really critical question for you, the listener, to think about. If he did run or launch a party, would people see him as a legitimate leader for governing or just, another billionaire trying to use his clout?
Yeah.
That perception issue, the sources seem to say that could be everything, whether it catches on beyond his existing fan base.
So whether or not a party actually happens, the main takeaway from this deep dive seems clear. Elon Musk isn't just an industrialist anymore. These sources show he's really evolving into something else, like an ideology himself.
Right. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought to chew on. What does it actually mean when individuals, people with immense private wealth and these huge public platforms, start to effectively become political movements? How could that change politics as we know it? What does it do to democracy itself? Something to consider.